Hi beautiful souls, it's Tan back here again today on this Astrology, Human Design and Gene Keys channel. Today we're going to be looking at Gene Key 63, which is in correspondence with Human Design Gate 63, and I apologize for the construction noises that may be popping up here and then. It's really unpredictable when they are going to come and construct. Sorry about that. And that is in correspondence with, in astrology, the Zodiac Degrees of Pisces from 1122 degrees to 17 degrees of Pisces. So I've made an introduction video to this particular series of the Zodiac Degrees by Vision Keybird. I highly recommend that you check out that video first. I'll post a link to that up above in the description box below so you can get a comprehensive understanding of how I'm approaching these particular topics. So you can watch that and then come back and watch this video. And if you are interested to connect with me and other astrology, human design, gene key enthusiasts, we do have an online platform, a Discord server called Astrology for the Uranian Souls. I would like to invite you to join us. I'll post a link to that platform in the description box below as well. Okay, so first we're going to start off by looking at a quick overview, general overview of this particular archetype. This archetype is going from the shadow of doubt to the gift of inquiry, to the city or the destiny level of truth. And of course, the dream arc vision key bird is the eagle here. At the fear key, it's the centipede. At the life key animal, it's the manatee. In the 64 I-Ching hexagram, this hexagram is called after completion. Masculine power returns to serve feminine love, cooking the alchemical cauldron of wisdom. In the 64 genetic codon, this archetype is part of the ring of divinity, and it's associated with the amino acid proline. The programming partner of this archetype is Gene Key and Human Design Gate 64, and that is Virgo, 1122 to 17 degrees of Virgo. I just recently made a video on that. I also highly recommend that you check that out because these two programming partners, the 63 and the 64, they are very, very much interlinked and interconnected more than any of the other programming partners. They're almost like one and the same, shall we say. And yes, the programming partner is the opposite point in the zodiac wheel and the I-Ching hexagram, and they offer a complementary opposite to the energies that we're looking at here. In human design, this particular gate is located in the head center or the crown chakra. It's part of the channel 463, the channel of logic or reason. And I recently got this beautiful like human design card deck. And yeah, it's really amazing, guys. It's the woman who made it is on Instagram as Ceremonians. I highly recommend that you check her out. But I wanted to show you the illustration for the channel 464, the channel of logic, because I think it's quite great. There it is. So let's get to it. We're first gonna, of course, as usual, look at the vision key bird associated with this archetype first, which is the eagle. Now, Richard Rudd didn't specifically say which eagle is associated with this archetype, whether that's the golden eagle or the bald eagle. So I'm gonna assume it is generally overall the eagle. So therefore, I'm going to be putting into this video just characteristics of the eagle that they have in common overall, rather than kind of zooming in on any particular eagle. So yes, one of the most noticeable, well-known, and strongest special traits of the eagle is its eyesight. Their eyes actually make up like 50% of its head. Their vision is 5 to 6 times better than that of the human vision, because they can see up to 3 kilometers away. And the reason for this is that it's because of the retina in the eagle's eyes. In a human eye, in our retinas, we have up to 200,000 cones per millimeter square in the retina. But the eagle's eye has 1 million cones per millimeter square, just to give you a kind of ratio here of our eyes compared to the eagle's. Yes, their eyes also have an angle of 30 degrees away from the center of its head, which gives it a greater field of view. They can, of course, detect UV light like many of the other birds, but they also see up to 5 basic colors, primary colors for the eagle, but the human eye can only see up to 3 basic colors. Now, in many cultures, the eagle has many various different spiritual meanings, but one of the meanings that I have found rings strongly for all the different ways that people view the eagle is the lesson of looking from where you are, meaning that having vision and seeing far away, but also looking close to you, right underneath you, right in front of you, just as much as looking further away. That is the totality of vision. Vision is not about only looking far ahead, but vision is also about what's right in front of you as well. And I'll talk a little bit more about vision in this video, throughout this video. Also, of course, as a spirit animal, the eagle also symbolizes freedom and power. Power that comes from being a predator and being able to see and detect prey, which means it can also detect any predators before it approaches, so therefore the eagle has no predators. It's at the top of the food chain. So if you have this archetype, some of your traits will of course be that you are probably somebody who has vision, similar to the gene key 64, but this is a different kind of vision to that. The 64, we talk about vision in terms of like imagination and putting that into the real world, but the vision of the eagle is based on patterns, perception, so it's more logical. This is more of perspectives that are being formed based on patterns. And so if you're watching this from an astrological perspective, you're probably wondering, why is the Pisces archetype associated with the logic or the left brain? This gate in human design is the beginning of the left brain circuitry. And the 64, which is the opposite of this particular archetype, the programming partner, the Virgo archetype, is the beginning of the right brain circuitry, which has to do more with the abstract thinking. And in astrology, we tend to associate Pisces with the more abstract, the more imaginary, and Virgo with the more analytical and logical. So why is it being switched here? And the reason for that, I feel, as I said at the beginning of this video, that the right and the left brain are much more linked and interconnected than we could ever think. And I feel that Richard Rudd has a lot of really wise, progressive way of looking at archetypes as a way of self-improvement, self-development, raising our frequency, rather than as a way of saying that, oh, this is who you are, this is just your personality, and there's not much room for improvement there. So therefore, when we look at astrology, I can't remember who said this, but somebody said that although there are 12 signs, each sign has an opposite point. So we can even consider astrology or the zodiac as there being only 6 zodiac. That Pisces and Virgo are 1. Aries and Libra are 1. Taurus and Scorpio are 1. Leo and Aquarius are 1. Whereas the Sagittarius and Gemini are 1, for example. And Cancer and Capricorn are 1, yes. Because whatever this opposite of you or of another archetype is ultimately on this kind of seesaw, and a seesaw is 1. We can look at it like that. And so therefore, when we tend to think of Pisces, we tend to think of very imaginative, abstract ways of thinking. But could it be said, however, that may be, because Pisces is also associated with Neptune in the 12th house, could we also say that may actually be an improvement point for the Pisces archetype, is for Pisces to develop their logic, is for Pisces to develop the left brain thinking that can really benefit and balance off their right brain thinking. And ultimately, it's just this dance between right and left, abstract and logical anyways, however you want to look at it. If you're watching this and you're a Pisces and you resonate more with the 64, that can also be like your own truth. If you're a Virgo and you're watching the 63 and you're like, I resonate more with the 63 than the 64, like that can also be your own truth. I think there's a lot to play with here, a lot to kind of ponder on, I think. But yes, if Pisces is too involved in the imagination or in the abstract, we do have illusions and a way of living that is not the best, shall we say, not the most conducive to the transformation and growth of the Pisces. And so therefore the transformation, the biggest transformation of Pisces and their growth may actually be to develop that logical thinking, which as we go throughout this video, you will find that there's a loop that comes around. Too much logic eventually leads to the abstract again. Too much abstract calls for the logical, and we kind of go around like that. Okay, but apart from that, you are also going to be like having seeker visionary traits, meaning that you're willing to push the limits of your own self-discovery and personal freedom. You may seem a little bit aloof from time to time because you may seem like you have your head in the clouds, like you are thinking about something and kind of like in space. The message of the eagle is to not doubt yourself. And the shadow frequency of this archetype is doubt, right? We're going to talk about that soon. But you may be somebody who can maybe from time to time have self-doubt, but the message of an eagle is telling you not to doubt your abilities, not to doubt the fact that you can trust enough to soar as high as you want to soar. Make your visions a reality and have the freedom to be able to do that. There's also great power within you, and that is the power of truth. Truth comes with a lot of power. Sometimes you may also have what can be considered a sort of aggressive mind, an inexhaustible mind in trying to figure out the truth of life. So let's have a look at the shadow frequency of this archetype, which is called doubt. Okay, so in order to understand kind of like what this archetype has to really do with doubt, I want to quickly talk to you guys about the progression of logic, you know, based on human design, the gene keys. And yeah, this is probably going to be true for the collective as well, as like how our logical mind is developed. So the head center in human design is a pressure center. It pressures you to find an answer to certain things. And so the progression of logic comes first from back, like since the beginning of the human evolution, shall we say, the beginning of our species. The first thing that really struck us to develop our logic was our ability to survive. When there was danger in our environment, this danger propels us and fuels and gives us pressure to question. The question of, if this happened to me, would I survive? What do I need to do to survive when there's another animal that is bigger than me that's coming my way? How do I have to prepare myself so that I can defend myself from danger? This questioning is doubt, because it's a doubt of whether we would have survived as a species or not. And so this begins to fuel or pressure us into anxiety, because it's an anxiety of whether we're going to live or we're going to die. Living or dying brings anxiety, and anxiety fuels the brain to then begin to see patterns. The patterns that we're seeing is with regards to facts, data, and numbers. For example, if a bear comes at this spot every day and we'd see that pattern repeating itself, we would not camp there, let's say. This creates pattern perception or vision, which then begins to fuel more anxiety, because now we have to keep up the logic that we have created because it helps us to survive. So we had to keep our brain in that kind of, with that ability to perceive data and patterns and logic, because it helped us to survive, and it became a collective human mechanism that we all have there. You see how logic is initially based on anxiety and survival. That's where it's coming from. And so now we can kind of get a sense of what the shadow, where the shadow of doubt, the shadow of this particular archetype is stemming from, and what it could possibly look like. So we can see that the ability to be able to perceive patterns can't always end our doubt. All it creates is more anxiety, which creates more doubt. But of course, logic and the left brain is definitely useful But it is useful, as we can see with regards to our past, it is useful when it comes to service to the collective, service to society, as a way of improving the society. But if we try to use our logical brain and doubt that feels more anxiety, that feels more doubt, to try and solve personal issues in our life, like ending our own anxiety. If we try to use logic and we try to end our own anxiety, all we end up is creating more anxiety. If we try to use too much logic and doubt in our love life and in our relationships, all we create is anxiety. But yes, as we can see, you know, this doubt and the left brain was useful. Logic was useful for the evolution of our brain and for the collective improvement to help the world, the society, as I said previously. Because you see, if you keep trying to use logic to end your anxiety or end your personal issues, all you end up is creating self-doubt, because you will begin to wonder, I'm being very logical. I am using all these things that make sense. I'm perceiving patterns. I'm coming up with solutions, but it's not ending the doubt. It's not ending this anxiety. What's wrong with me? Why doesn't it work? That is where the self-doubt is coming from. Because the only thing that you can really be certain of about yourself is that you are a paradoxical being. You're a living paradox. There are no certainties as to you as an individual and what's going to happen to you, what could happen to you, how you're going to fix your life. There is no certainty there. Another shadow of doubt is what can be considered as suspicion. And this means that instead of turning the doubt inwards into your own self-doubt, you are projecting doubt into your relationships and other people and situations in your life. What can happen here is that you may, for example, have a problem in your romantic relationship or any kind of relationship, intimate relationship that you have, and you feel like the patterns that you're perceiving in the relationship and the way that you've logically analyzed those patterns is telling you the truth about the other person's intentions. So an example of this would be, let's say that you're suspecting that your partner could be having an affair, for example, and you've noticed certain patterns that's existing, and you feel, okay, this must be the truth because I've noticed these patterns, and they're patterns. They're not a direct, like, you didn't see that they were having an affair or anything like that, but there's like patterns here and there. This is always a 50-50% answer to your question, because at the end of the day, your instinct and your intuition will speak louder than your logic and louder than your ability to perceive patterns when it comes to matters of the heart and the emotions and the more intricate parts of human relationship. So let's have a look at the gift frequency of this archetype, which is called inquiry. So you see how inquiry, the word itself, is so much different from what we're seeing in the shadow already, because inquiry means that we have the curiosity. You have the curiosity, you have the question there, but you're not trying to find an answer. You're not trying to settle on an answer to the question. And so inquiry also means to use the doubt for the service of the society, meaning that you're questioning what could be not working so well in society, and then experimenting and coming up with creative solutions to make the world a better place. But then also not having a definitive answer to that, but keeping open creative solutions that may come in from other people as well. And the need to keep seeking for what else could be improved in the world. What else could be kind of done to make the world a better place can also, this continuous seeking can also be very useful in that sense. Now, if you have also the gate 4 in human design, you're going to have the whole channel, right? The 63-4. The channel 63-4 means the gate 4 is the gate that comes up with answers. So if you have the whole channel, you'll be more certain about answers that you have about anything in your life. But again, you have to also be aware that your answer may not be the only definitive answer, because if you still feel like your answer is the only definitive answer, that is what is going to spark more doubt and more anxiety. And knowing that it's not the only definitive answer or truth either, because we're going to talk about truth at the city and the higher destiny of this. Inquiry can give you a great depth of understanding. If you don't try to come up with, shall we say, surface level answers, any answers that is formed and is certain and that it is the only answer very quickly, immediately, most of the time it is surface level, and it can be pretty shallow. Because inquiry is followed by more inquiry, and the more inquiry you have, the deeper you can spiral, the more depth of understanding about certain things you can have. But if you start to inquire and you end up with an answer right there, you don't get to go as deep enough, because the more you inquire about the things around you, the more you realize that the inquiry leads eventually to yourself. It's the inquiry of your own mind, how your mind works. It's the inquiry of your own self-doubt that you eventually get to. And when you begin to inquire yourself, you will begin to see that you are connected to the other things that you have been inquiring outside of you, that you are one with the universe, that you are made of stardust. And so this channel can make for a really great astrologer. You know, if you guys out there are interested in astrology and you have this channel, it's like you can be a great astrologer because you're going to be able to pick up patterns and inquire the workings of someone's natal chart, for example, and link that to the transit that's happening in the sky, the effect that's going on outside of you in the universe, and how that's impacting a person's individual natal charts, because you know from this depth of inquiry and understanding that we are connected to the entire universe, that your inner process is connected to and in synchronicity with the external process. And you'll know that science and logic has its limits. That astrology, for example, or the fact that how would you know that you are connected to the stars, for example? Science can't prove that, but yet there's a lot to be played with there. So the more that you inquire, the more that you will eventually come to the path of yoga. Because yoga is a way of living in which you are first curious about the separation between your body and your soul, your body and your mind, your body and your spirit. Because yoga aims to connect the body, mind, the body, the soul, and the mind. Yeah, mind, body, soul connection together. That's what yoga aims to do. And so it has to first start off by, the inquiry of, how is my body separated from my soul? How is my mind separated from my body? How can I merge that? And that is what the beginning of the left brain process is bringing awareness to. It's bringing, because like I said, the 63 is the beginning, right? It's the first igniter of the left brain thinking. And so ultimately the left brain thinking is bringing this, after all this process, it's bringing you the awareness that, hey, you got to get into your body now. You got to do the body work that is required, because the mind is not enough to feel whole. The mind is not enough to feel whole. So yoga, of course, brings mindfulness. And with mindfulness, that eases the anxiety a lot. And there's great flow in yoga, kind of like the eagle. You know, when the eagle's flying, he's just gliding and swooping. There's a lot of trust, there's a lot of flow there, kind of like if you're doing any kind of, you know, yoga movements and exercise. It's like, but of course yoga is a lifestyle, it's not just exercise. But it really does bring that flow in your physical body and in your life. And eventually, the path of yoga leads to the path of Tantra, which is the path of complete surrender to love. Just like the 64th gene key and archetype, eventually you get to the path of Tantra. It's a surrender to love of the self and love of others. Okay, so if we look at the city or the destiny level of this archetype, if we turn this vibration up a notch, we get to the city of truth with a capital T. So now the question is, first of all, what is truth? The paradox here is that after all the seeking and the searching, the only thing that you find that is truth is doubt. Doubt was the only thing that was truthful, that is the truth. And doubt was always there since the beginning. So we can say, this is the paradox of the 63, is that the truth was always there with you, but you couldn't see it. You couldn't perceive it. It was there. It was assisting you. It was waiting to be realized. Like Richard Rudd calls it, the pearl and the oyster. It was there all along, but it was just waiting for you to realize it. So let me give you an easy example of, this whole logical process and what it really means. Like, what am I talking about when I'm saying like truth was always there, doubt was the truth? Because you see, an easy example of this is that 1 + 1 = 2, right? That's like the most logical thing, because 1 + 1 = 2. Or sometimes if you're looking at divine logic, 1 + 1 = 3. Whatever it is, whatever answer you've arrived, if you were to arrive at that answer, that truth, you must have first established the truth that 1 is the truth, that the plus is the truth, that the other 1 is the truth, and that 1 + 1 can't equal something, there must be some truth in that. And you see how, because if there was no truth in that, you wouldn't have put it into the equation in the first place. So it was always there with you. It's kind of like your journey. You must have first established that doubt is truth. Therefore, if you hadn't established the fact that doubt is truth, you wouldn't have continued to transcend doubt, to use doubt as a way of searching and inquiring. You must have established that inquiry is truth. So everything on your journey, every path, every step that you take, every move you make, every breath you take, there's truth in all of those steps already. Every breath you take is truth. Every step you take is truth. In that moment, it is truth. And that's what you discover. That's the paradox when you get to the city of truth. And so truth is really found in your body. And that's the path of Tantra as well. It's the path of embodiment. And the truth is in your body because let's say that you are feeling sad or you are feeling angry. If you're doing the work of Tantra, what the Tantra practitioner will say is that, okay, when you're feeling angry, what is your body actually feeling? If you get back to the body, you'll notice, I'm feeling that my stomach is tense. I'm feeling a lot of energy in my throat. It's moving around, but it doesn't have a place to go. That is the truth. The truth is in the body. You can say that, oh, I feel angry, but the truth is there in the body, is that what you're feeling is that there's energy moving in your throat, is that your stomach is tense, is that your hands are clenched, is that you're getting sweaty. Your body always knows the truth. The truth is always in your body. And that's why the Pisces archetype is one of the most relaxed archetypes. After all, after exhausting your mind, after through all this seeking, that's why the Pisces appreciates all the little things in life. They watch the sunset, they watch the little bumblebee drinking from nectar, and they enjoy that because there's truth in that little bumblebee drinking the nectar. That is the truth of the moment. The sunset, that is the truth of the moment. The eagle soaring high in the sky, that is the truth of the moment. Okay, beautiful souls, I think that's going to be it for this video. If you have this archetype, also make sure to check out your programming partner, which is Gate and Gene Key 64. That's the Virgo archetype. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you haven't. If you have this archetype or if you don't have it, do comment below and let us know what your experiences have been with this particular energy here. And yes, I do readings for a combo, astrology, human design, and the gene keys. You can check out my website. I'd be happy and excited to do one for you. But you will notice sometimes my website says that the readings are out of stock because I'm really booked up, and I don't want my clients to wait longer than 60 days for their readings. I mean, that's already long enough. And if it says that it's out of stock, you can probably check in a week later. I'll probably have it opened again, but I'm just trying to like make sure that nobody's waiting too long for the reading. That doesn't make sense to me. So anyways, yes, do check out my website. And so yeah, have a beautiful day, beautiful souls. Bye.